Welcome to Sail Tales. My name is Gary. In this video, I want to show you how I make the blocks for my model boats, including the schooner Irene. These blocks resemble the wood shell blocks found on older traditional boats. They actually work really well. And yes, they work just fine for sheet leads on RC boats with sail control. The blocks are small, so they can be made from scraps of wood. Most any fine-grained, semi-hard wood will do. White pine is good. Balsa is not. It's just a little too soft and delicate for this job. Working on boats, I use quite a few disposable paintbrushes, like this one. I've gotten the habit of saving the handle when I throw the brush away. I have no idea what kind of wood this is, but I found it easy to work with, just right for making these blocks. Let's get to work. I've made the markings on the piece of wood. I like to first drill a pilot hole by hand with my 1/16 inch bit held in the pin vise. I can use the power drill to drill that hole out to the 1/8 finished size. Now I've made myself a couple more pencil lines to follow. I want to cut open a slot down to that hole that we just drilled. And we'll smooth that up with a bit of 150 grit sandpaper. That slot should finish up such that our piece of 1/8 inch square stock fits nicely inside. But before we glue it in, I'm going to sand a radius across the end of the 1/8 inch square stock. Rather like that. Now I'm going to set that in place, push it down just so far that I maintain that 1/8 inch hole that we drilled in the beginning. Make a pencil mark there for myself. Now we'll take that piece out. Add a couple drops of CA on the sides, slip it back in place, centered, straight, down to the depth of our pencil mark. Once the glue is set, we can come back and cut that piece off flush. And we should now be able to slip a piece of string through there. But this way it should run smoothly around that radius that we sanded on the end of the square stock. Come back and make the cuts down the side of the block. Make a final cut across the end of the block. Here's our block as it looks now. Maybe we start to understand why it was called a block. You can see I've made some marks on the top where I want to drill holes for the strop. The next step will be to round off the ends of the block. I'll do that with a piece of about 100 grit sandpaper and a sanding block. At this point, I just want to take a piece of finer sandpaper and round off this sharp corner. A little more sanding with some 220 grit paper to smooth things up. Ready to install the wire strop. Make the wire strop out of stainless steel seizing wire. I find that at the marine store. Check that the pieces fit together the way you want them to. Then glue them together. You can give your finished block a quality control test by suspending it from the overhead and rigging a line and a weight like you see here. That's a 1-pound chunk of lead I'm using. You're almost done now, but the blocks need a finish. You might want to use a stain to achieve a color you like. Then give them at least 2 good coats of a good quality varnish. A smooth, hard finish will minimize friction and help the blocks work smoothly when you put them to work on your boat. I guess it would be a pulley if we were on the farm, but on the boat, it's a block.